Welcome back to our morning coffee talk series, Casual Chats over a morning cup of brew. I'm Andy, your host. This is episode 6. Let me get my coffee going and then we will start our little chat. How is everybody this morning? As always, I hope you all are doing well. As always, my morning is going to be using the out-in espresso machine. You find me in Silicon Valley this morning. My work travels have led me here. I know it's been a hot minute since we have been doing these, but I hope you'll forgive me. As with most of my videos, they are a labor of love and do actually take a significant amount of time to actually produce and edit and upload and do all of the usual pleasantries to get these things up and done. So if you are liking the content, as always, be pleasant, leave a nice comment, perhaps subscribe, like it, share it. All right. There is the espresso shot brewing and getting ready. The hotel this morning had really cool ice. They had the fun style crushed ice. It's wonderful. I don't know how that's going to go for coffee this morning, but I will let you guys know. Hey, there we go. Perfect. All right, episode 6. I have a couple of talking points. The first talking point is holidays with a question mark. How do you spend them? What are your traditions? In the Gray Shot Down household, with me and Doggone Sci-Fi, our traditions have been quite easy, actually. It's just the two of us. And obviously our fur child, Bailey. It's been a lot of fun. This last Christmas, we spent together and unwrapped gifts, and it was really relaxing. Obviously, post-Christmas, I'm back on the road and working again, so there's that. But I'm hoping to make it home before the New Year's and hopefully make it home this year. But I'm curious, what are your festivities and your holiday traditions? I know in our family, one of our favorite holiday traditions is when it snows, we try to watch people drive up our hill and see if they can make it up the hill when it snows. It's a little slick. It's a coffee drinking game. The bigger portions of, I think, today's coffee chat discussion are this. Where to find creative sparks in everyday life. It's about talking about creativity. And when we talk about creativity, I want to break it down to a few things. I want to talk about how to overcome creative blocks, because I think that creative blocks are things that we build up in our heads. It's that it happens a lot. It's usually the conversation between your ears of, I can't do this, or people won't like this, or what if? I think those are sometimes the creative blocks that we ourselves as creatives will put in front of us to tell us all the reasons why we shouldn't do something. But I think that couldn't be further from what needs to actually be the case. I think to be creative, you have to actually push through that part of it. And it's a cycle. I think you'll be back in it because we all know how creatives, it's a complete 360-degree cycle. Once you get through this, you'll be on to the next step, and you'll find yourself back at square one again when you take on your next challenge. Which honestly, I think should lead me to the next step, which is why everyone should try a new skill or hobby. So make sure that you're overcoming your creative blocks. And sometimes to overcome your creative blocks, you should try a new skill or hobby. I think actively learning or actively trying to do something to better oneself is completely healthy. It's very healthy to do that. And I think it really opens up all of those creative gears in our minds to be able to start drawing synapses together and essentially seeing what the bigger picture is. It's a really beautiful thing, in my opinion. If you don't pick up a new skill or hobby, that's okay. But I think if you do, it will lead to this, the relationship between art, music, and mood. By picking up a new skill or hobby, I think you will become active. Most skills or hobbies requires movement, requires you to set things up, requires you to actively be engaged or think about what you're doing. And I think if you're picking up that new skill, you're going to move into the relationship between art, music, and mood. Becoming active releases endorphins. And by releasing these endorphins, you're going to want to listen to music. You're going to want to ingest other sources, or I think you're going to be open to actually ingesting more things that are around you, being more aware and alert. For me, the relationship between art, music, and mood are incredible in a sense that, let me pull my shot here. In a sense that for me, how I feel is usually outwardly expressed via my music selection. If I'm angry or sad or happy, I can usually tell based off of what I'm listening to, and I think a lot of people are like that. But music for me is further than just my moods. It's also where I sometimes get my creative flow or my creative thought process. And why I say that is because I think it gives you a space to self-reflect and think about your work of what you're trying to accomplish. And kind of like with reading, it allows your mind to start drawing those synapses or connecting the dots, if you will, to solve the problem that you're trying to work on. And so I think that, to me, art as a whole provides that space to be able to do that. Also, the important thing about art, music, and mood is it gives you ideas. It gives you that creative ability to think about, let's be honest, there is no original idea. The best ideas are stolen. Let that sink in. The truth behind that statement is that when we go out into the world and we intake all of these things around us in art, in society, we come up with renditions of them in our minds. And sometimes the rendition is better, yes, because we are very egotistical creatures at heart, but sometimes the rendition is worse. But regardless, it still makes you go through that process of thinking about what could be next. And I think that's a very important thing in life. It's that self-reflection that we've been talking about. And to wrap that all off, the thing that I honestly want to end with is the benefits of keeping a beginner's mind for learning. So often, I think what tends to happen is like what I just spoke about in the last point. People are very egotistical, and they'll think that they are right 100% of the time, rather than going back and reflecting and thinking about how to reason up from ground zero. I think sometimes, we hear famous CEOs talk about it and say how it shouldn't be about building the product. It should be about focusing on how much the product costs and why is the product so expensive to begin with. I think that's a very important lesson. I think when you look at it, the benefits of keeping a beginner's mindset for learning in that whole concept is just always striving to be better, always striving to not necessarily, I think change. Yeah, I think change. Because if you're constantly focused on change, making sure that you're evolving into that better person, change is going to be a pretty constant. I don't think it's going to be I don't think I think change will be linear. I don't think change is going to be anything exponential. And so that's ultimately the reason why, for me, I believe change and focusing on self-reflection is the key in really kind of being the best version that you can be in society. Some personal notes as we wrap up for today and today's coffee chat. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. I've been too deep thinking about where to find creative sparks in everyday life that haven't actually had the time to take a sip of my delicious morning brew. Crushed ice is kind of fun. Yeah, the crushed ice is kind of fun. Some personal excitements. I think, as you all know by now, we got our Cybertruck, or specifically Doggone Sci-Fi got her Cybertruck. She's named it Ripley, after the Alien movies, which, just to be very fair with my viewing audience, I haven't seen them. I know that sounds very odd in the sense that I think I've just maybe watched the trailers when I was growing up. I grew up in a very ultra-conservative household that, let's put it this way, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was banned. So I'll let that go to your imagination for what else was probably banned in my household. Yes, that was an eye roll. My current favorite feature on the Cybertruck will probably surprise you. I know everybody's talking about how the thing has steer-by-wire and it's got supercharging on the Tesla network and all of this kind of fun stuff. And it's absolutely true. I think the truck is magnificently incredible. My favorite feature, the seatbelt tensioner adjustment for where the actual seatbelt restraint, the harness, the anchor point up here on the shoulder, adjustment for it is so cool. It's basically hidden underneath some cloth or some fabric, and it's cool on multiple levels. Yes, aesthetically, it solves the problem of just being completely hidden and you'd never know that the thing would actually be adjustable. Number one. Number two, it solves NVH, or noise, vibration, and harshness, which essentially, if you're thinking of that button, what happened in the Model 3 is over the years, it began to rattle as you drove down the road. So in the Cybertruck, I mean, obviously there's air suspension and things like that that are going to prevent a lot of your NVH problems from happening in the first place. But Tesla went an additional step by putting that piece of fabric over it, which is going to even additionally help for NVH on top of making all of the noise. So I thought it was kind of cool. Notes for next time. That's why I said my top favorite feature probably would surprise you. Notes for next time. Be sure to submit your topic suggestions for future coffee chats like this. We're going to be on episode 7 here coming up. I imagine keeping these going. These are kind of fun. I think you guys are liking these as well. So make this a little bit more engaging. Make this be more interactive. Submit your questions. We've had a couple. I did one, I believe. I think it was like episode 3 or 4. So yeah, be sure to submit your questions, and I think these are a lot of fun to go over with you. It is always fun to chat with you, and I will see you next time in future chats. I hope you have a wonderful day, and whatever you're drinking, whether it be coffee or tea, I know some people like tea in the morning, I hope that it gives you, I hope that your coffee or whatever your morning routine is starts you out on the right foot to come up with creative solutions and be focused on being more positive in the world. That's my encouragement for the day. Focus on positivity. And with that, I wish you well.